Hi, my name is Bailey. I'm with My Math Experts, and today I'm going to show you how to factor the following expression, 25x squared minus 16y squared. So the instructions factor are actually really vague because the word factor means a lot of different things. We could mean factor by greatest common factor, which would look something like this, greatest common factor. That's usually if you have something like this, if you have like 12x squared minus 2y, where you're looking to see what the terms have in common that you can divide out of them. So for example, both of these are divisible by 2, so we could divide a 2 out of both of the terms here, and that would be simplifying factoring using greatest common factor. But as we can see here, these two terms actually don't have anything in common that we can factor out, so we can't use greatest common factor to factor this in this case. There's also factoring into pairs. So, for example, if you have something like x squared plus 7x plus 12, you can factor this trinomial into x plus 3 and x plus 4. So I'm just going to label this factoring trinomials. However, trinomial means there's 3 terms. As you can see here, there's 1, 2, 3 terms in this. And we don't have 3 terms in our expression. We only have 2. So this isn't going to be factoring trinomials either. And there's one other type of factoring that's called differences of squares. So I'm going to make some room over here. Differences of squares. And the way that this looks is if you have something in the form of a squared minus b squared, this factors out to a plus b, a minus b. So basically, if you have something that you can take the square root of for your first term and your second term, and they're connected by a subtraction sign, then you can use this formula to simplify them without having to think too much about it. This is also called a special product. They also have one for a squared plus 2ab plus b squared also, but we're not going to get into that today. So let's take a look. So our a value here would be what you get if you square root the first term, right? Because this goes from a squared to a. So if we square root our entire first term here, square root of 25 is 5, square root of x squared is x. And then we have our subtraction sign that's matching up. That's all good. And then for our b value, we're going to have to take the square root of our entire second term here. So the square root of 16 is 4. Square root of y squared is y. And then we can just plug our a's and b's into this formula. So we can get 5x plus 4y times 5x minus 4y. As easy as that, and this is now factored. So really keep in mind, one of the hardest things about factoring is identifying what type of factoring is going to be applicable in which scenario. Greatest common factor can be used no matter the number of terms. You could have 2 terms, you could have 20 terms. You can check and see if greatest common factor works. That's always a good first step. See if greatest common factor works. If it doesn't, move on to something else. If it does, start with that. Factoring trinomials, like I mentioned, those only work when you have 3 terms. So that's really easy to decide if that's going to apply to you or not. And then differences of squares, similar to factoring trinomials, they have a very specific way that they look. It's something that is a perfect square minus something else that is a perfect square that you can square root. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And thanks for listening.